Hi ladies, it's been a very busy week in algebra. On Monday we did GCF leftover. On Tuesday you did an ed puzzle with GCF leftover. Yesterday you worked on your apartment rental project, and today is Thursday where we learn how to factor basic trinomials. So today's learning target is I can apply factoring techniques by rewriting a trinomial using the AM method. So how we're going to do this is factoring is an essential process in Algebra 1, Algebra 2. It just really doesn't go away. And it basically allows us to rearrange an expression, and we can determine essential information about it. For instance, we can determine its solutions. We can draw a rough sketch of the graph. But just to give you the heads up, factoring reverses what you learned about over the Christmas break. It reverses the box method. So make sure that you think about the box method as we do these examples. So here, BYW, we use the diamond method, or you will see it on Delta Math called the X game. I just call it the diamond because we just basically draw a diamond. So here's what we're going to do. If we look at this diamond, we have a 10 and a 7. And the question I want to know is, what two numbers have a product of 10 and a sum of 7? So that means is, what multiplies to 10 and adds up to 7? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my factor pair sheet, and I'm going to list down what multiplies to 10. So what multiplies to 10 is 1 and 10 and 2 and 5, as we can see right here. So if I look, I'm going to put my 1 and my 10 in. And 1 times 10 is 10. 1 plus 10, though, is not 7. It's 11. So it can't be my 1 and my 10. Now I'm going to try my 2 and my 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 plus 5 is 7. So that works. It is 2 and 5. This is the method we're going to be using to factor trinomials. So the general form of a trinomial is ax squared plus bx plus c. When factoring a trinomial into a pair of binomials, the goal is to find the factors that multiply to c and choose the factors that add up to b. So factor the expression x squared plus 7x plus 12. Step 1 says identify the terms that you want to add to and multiply to. Put an a and an m over them. So here's how it's going to work. I always want to add to my middle term and multiply to my last term. Step 2 says, now list all the factors of the term that you want to multiply to. So I want to multiply to 12. So I'm going to list out my factors of 12, which are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Okay. Now, step 3 says, draw your diamond with the number you want to multiply to on top and the number you want to add to on the bottom. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to draw on our diamond. We want to multiply to 12 and add up to 7. Step 4 says, go through those factor pairs to determine which pair of numbers makes your diamond work. So I'm going to act like we don't know which ones they are, so I'm going to try each one. I'm going to put my 1 and my 12. 1 times 12 is 12. 1 plus 12 is 13, not 7. So I can cross out my 1 and my 12. 2 and 6. 2 times 6 is 12, but 2 plus 6 is 8, not 7. So it can't be 2 and 6. So it has to be 3 and 4. So let's see what it is. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's your factor pair. Now we're going to write our final answer as a product of two binomials. So if we look, they're both positive numbers. So we're starting with x's. So we're just going to write this as x plus 3, x plus 4. And that's our final answer. Now if I want to, I can check my answer by using the box method. So I'm going to do the box method. We're going to multiply x plus 3 and x plus 4. We're not going to do this for every single example, just for this one right here. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. Combine your like terms. We get x squared. 3x plus 4x is 7x. And then I get my plus 12. And if I look, that's exactly what I started with. And that's how we're going to factor trinomials. But just know very quickly that it's not going to always be positive. We will have negative numbers thrown in there. We will have a mishmash. So we need to be comfortable with our negative and positive rules. So let's go on to these examples. Factor each of the following expressions. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do our AM. What adds to 14 and multiplies to 48. And this is what Miss Townsend and I expect for every single problem. You will write out the factors of each number. So for 48, I have a 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, and 6 and 8. So I draw my diamond. I put that 48 upstairs and that 14 downstairs. And I basically just sort of go through them. 1 and 48, not going to work. 2 and 24, not going to work. 3 and 16, not going to work. 4 and 12, not going to work. 6 and 8, let's see. And you are allowed to guess and check with them. It's not going to be right the first time. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 plus 8 is 14. That works. So my final answer would just be p plus 6 times p plus 8. And again, you can do the box method on that to see if your answer works. But it does. Number 2, x squared plus 1x minus 72. So the first thing I want you to do every time you just see a lone x hanging out by itself, put a 1 attached to it. We want to add up to 1 and multiply to negative 72. That'll be very important when we get to our diamond. So we write out everything that multiplies to 72, which is 1 and 72, 2 and 36, 3 and 24, 4 and 18, 6 and 12, and 8 and 9. We now draw our diamond. We want to multiply to negative 72 and add up to 1. So if I'm going to add up to 1, what that means is my integers have to be 1 away from each other. So if I look, it has to be 8 and 9. These are the only ones that are 1 away from each other. If I look at 1 and 72, those are 71 away. 2 and 36 are 34 away. 3 and 24 are 21 away. It has to be my 8 and my 9. But let's see why. 8 times 9 is positive 72, not negative 72. So we're going to make our 8 negative, see what happens. Negative 8 times 9, negative 72, negative 8 plus 9, 1. That works. So my final answer would be x minus 8 times x plus 9. And that's my final answer. Number 3, x squared minus 5x plus 6. I want to add up to negative 5 and multiply to 6. So I go to my factor pairs. The factor pairs for 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So I draw my diamond. I want to multiply to 6 and add up to negative 5. So if I think about it, I'm not actually really sure about this one, so I'm going to guess and check with both. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. I want a negative 5. But the thing is, I know that 2 negatives also make a positive when multiplying. So I'm going to make negative 1 and negative 6. Negative 1 times negative 6 is 6. Negative 1 plus negative 6 is negative 7, not negative 5. So it has to be 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5. I want a negative 5. Let's make them both negative. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. Negative 2 plus negative 3, negative 5. So my final answer is x minus 2, x minus 3. Number 4. I have a squared plus 12a plus 20. I want to add up to 12 and multiply to 20. So I'm going to list out all the factors of 20, which are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. So when I do this one, I want to add up to 12 and multiply to 20, so I draw my diamond. My 20 goes upstairs, my 12 goes downstairs. And I already can tell that it's going to be 2 and 10. 2 times 10 is 20, 2 plus 10 is 12. So my final answer is a plus 2, a plus 10. And that's it. This is how we factor. So this is factoring trinomials. We need to know how to use our factor pair sheet. Number 5, y squared minus 16y plus 39. 39 is a weird number. So we go to our factor pair sheet. We want to add up to negative 16 and multiply to 39. So I have 1 and 39 and 3 and 13. It's got to be 3 and 13 because there's no way 1 and 39 will give me a negative 16. Not on Monday, not on Tuesday, not any day of the week. So I draw my diamond, 39 up top, negative 16 downstairs. I put my 3 and my 13 in. 3 times 13 is 39. 3 plus 13 is 16. I want a negative 16, so I'm going to make them both negative. Negative 3 and negative 13 make 39. Negative 3 and negative 13 make negative 16. So I would have y minus 3 times y minus 13, and that's my final answer. Number 6, b squared minus 6b minus 16. I want to add up to negative 6 and multiply to negative 16. So when multiplying to 16, I have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. So I draw my diamond. And I think about it, it's got to be 2 and 8, but I have to figure out how I can use my 2 and my 8. 2 times 8 is 16, not negative 16, so one of them's got to be negative, so I'm going to make my 2 negative. Negative 2 times 8, negative 16. Negative 2 plus 8, positive 6. I want a negative 6. So I'm going to make my 8 negative. 2 and negative 8 make negative 16. 2 plus a negative 8 makes negative 6. So for this example, my final answer is b plus 2 times b minus 6. Ooh, b minus 8. And that's it. Occasionally, though, there will be some instances where your leading coefficient's greater than 1. When this pops up, make sure that you pull a GCF. If there is a GCF that can be pulled out, if it can't be pulled out, then this will require tricky trinomial factoring. So for today's examples, you're just going to literally divide out by your leading coefficient. So if I look, my leading coefficient's a 2. I'm going to divide each of these terms by 2. So I have 2n squared plus 6n minus 108. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide each of these terms by 2. So I have 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I just get n squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so I have 3n. And 108 divided by 2 is 54. So I have minus 54. Now I want to add up to 3, so my GCF we said was 2. I want to add up to 3 and multiply to negative 54. So I write out everything that multiplies to 54. So I have 1 and 54. 2 and 27, 3 and 18, and 6 and 9. So I now draw my diamond with that negative 54 up top and that 3 downstairs. So I need 2 negative numbers. If I look, it's got to be my 6 and my 9 because they're 3 away from each other. So I put my 6 and my 9 in. 6 times 9 is 54. I want a negative, so I'm going to make my 6 negative. Negative 6 times 9, negative 54, that works. Negative 6 plus 9 is 3. So I can write this as, rewrite your GCF, so my 2, and then I can write n minus 6, n plus 9 as my final answer. Now, number 8. I have 2k squared plus 22k plus 60. And before I said, we just divide by that leading term of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I have 2 times k squared. 22 divided by 2 is 11, so I have 11k. 60 divided by 2 is 30. So I want to add up to 11 and multiply to 30. So the numbers that make 30 are 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. I draw my diamond. I want to multiply to 30 and add up to 11. So if I fill in my diamond, it's got to be a 5 and a 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 plus 6 is 11. So again, we forgot to do this blank, but my GCF was 2. So when I write this, I can write this as 2 times k plus 5 times k plus 6. And that's my final answer. And that's how you factor trinomials where a is equal to 1. If you have any questions, email myself or Ms. Townsend.